We're going to be making a J-splint. There are a lot of different variations to this orthosis. You can make it for the index, middle, ring, or small finger, and you can include one or multiple joints. Today we're going to be making one for the ring finger, and we are going to include all of the joints. So first we'll start out with making our pattern. You are going to position the patient in intrinsic plus position, which is flexion of the MP joints and full extension of the IP joints. So first you're going to palpate for the MP joint of the finger that you want to include. You're going to mark that. Then you will extend it up the length of the finger. And you also want to mark where the web space is. And then just proximal to the MPs, we're going to make the base of the orthosis. So you'll come to the side of the hand. We want to do about half the width of the ulnar side of the hand, and then come across just above the wrist and back around. So here's the pattern. Then where you mark the web space, in this case it was the third web space, you want to double the size of the finger so that you have material to wrap around circumferentially. When the material is ready, you're going to apply it to the dorsum of the hand. You want to first line up the material just proximal to the metacarpals. Then you'll fabricate the finger portion. You can wrap the material around either side of the finger. Here I'm doing it on the radial side. You're going to wrap it circumferentially and then tag it for a snug fit. We are including all the joints, so I'm going to go to the tip of the finger. If you were not including all the joints, it would stop and you could fold it for comfort. And then you just want to mold the hand portion. Be sure to position the patient in intrinsic plus position as well. And lastly, you also want to ensure that the finger is not in any type of ulnar or radial deviation. You want to make sure it's going straight out. When the material hardens, you're going to mark it for trimming. So we do want to keep it off of the metacarpals here. So I'm going to bring that down a little bit on both sides. And then it's kind of on her middle finger metacarpal. So I'm going to trim some of that off. You want to be careful to not get this too skinny here, or else it gets really flimsy. On the radial side, we want to knock this off at about in line with the second metacarpal. On the ulnar side, we want it to go about half the width of the hand. And then where I tagged it, we'll knock off all of this and around the tip of the finger. On the volar side, we're going to trim here too. So obviously we have a corner, so we're going to knock that off, but we want the material to go just above the palmar digital crease. Here's the orthosis after some trimming. So I trimmed here, proximal to the metacarpals, and then rounded all the corners, and also trimmed the palmar portion. So one thing left to trim is this seam here on the side. So when you wrap the material around the finger circumferentially, it creates one side that is smooth and then one side that has a seam. So the side that is smooth does not need anything, you can leave it alone, but the side with the seam here, we do need to trim that. So when you trim this, you were going for a V shape. We're going to keep it open. Here's that open V shape that we're kind of looking for. You also will want to smooth this out really well with the heat gun, because it will be an area for irritation for that adjacent finger. Now that the orthosis is trimmed, you can see that it can still be a little bit flimsy here at this thin part over the MP joint. So to fix that, we're going to reinforce it. To make the reinforcement piece, you're going to grab some of the same material. We're just going to make a strip. I'm going to make it the full length of the orthosis. You can just do it over that thin area if you'd like. For width, we want it to be the same width as the orthosis. So I'm just going to mark that. And then I'm gonna mark the length as well. Once you have the reinforcement piece, you're ready to put the two together. There are lots of different ways to put these together. Today I'm going to warm up this piece in the water, and I'm going to warm up the orthosis with the heat gun. I'm just going to do the area where the strip will go, just so that it gets sticky, and then smush them together. Here's the splint with the reinforcement piece finished, and then you're ready for Velcro. So Velcro placement for this splint can vary. On this one, I did on the ulnar side, one large one, and then on the radial side, two smaller ones, so that the strap can split in two, and one can come above the thumb, one below the thumb, and then one on the dorsal part of the finger, and one on the volar part of the finger. To make the strap for the hand, you're going to take a piece of Vel foam and cut it halfway just until the end. You can round the corners if you'd like. And then this will attach on the ulnar side and then wrap around to go above the thumb and below the thumb. This is one variation that you can do. Here's an example of a different variation. So for this one, we did two diagonal pieces of Velcro. So then you can do one Velcro strap around the wrist like this. So it's kind of just whatever you think will work best for your patient. Here's the final product of the J-Splint. So with the straps, I went ahead and trimmed the one for the hand, just so that it fits comfortably around the thumb. You're gonna put one strap above the thumb, one strap below, and then also a finger strap on the side that is open. Then you wanna make sure the adjacent fingers are not being irritated. You also wanna check for irritation in the web space, and then also make sure that the wrist is free.